Hi, I am Anupam. Let's understand business. In this current session, I shall be throwing light on the Nicosia model of consumer behavior. The Nicosia model of consumer behavior concerns with the interrelationships among the firm's attributes, the consumer's attributes, decision-making processes including the search and evaluation process, the actual decision-making process, and also the resultant action of the consumer, which acts as a feedback to the firm or an experience to the consumer, which is an input to the consumer attribute. This particular model is a dynamic model. Why dynamic? Because in the Nicosia model, the information about the resultant action of the consumer is fed back to the system, and this feedback allows for an improvement of the firm's attribute or the consumer's attribute. The Nicosia model of consumer behavior divides the complete consumer behavior process into four specific fields. In the first field, the model considers that the consumer is exposed to the message which is desired to be given by the firm, as a result of which certain attitude is formed towards the product, which results in a search and evaluation about the same. This search and evaluation leads to certain amount of motivation, which results in an action. This action is shown in the form of a purchasing decision, the result of which is certain information, which is nothing else but a feedback which gets delivered to the firm as well as the consumer. Here, as we see in this diagram, all the four fields are connected together with the help of a flow, and since it is a complete cycle, the overall nature of this model is dynamic. That is, every previous cycle leads to certain improvement in the subsequent cycle. Now let us move on and look at each of these fields separately. The first field of the Nicosia model represents the exposure of a consumer to the messages from the firm and its effect on the consumer. So we have the subfield 1, which is the company's communication to the targeted audience, and subfield 2, which represents what the consumer makes out of the communications and other inputs. Let us try and understand this with the help of a simple example. Let us assume that the consumer is looking to purchase a new car, and the first exposure which he gets is that of BMW. So when it comes to BMW in terms of cars, the firm's attribute could be that it is a German car, which might mean that the European cars are expensive. Another attribute could be about its engineering, which the consumer may assume to be over the top. The quality could be par excellent. The pricing may represent to the consumer as luxury. The comfort factors as aspirational. So with these attributes, the consumer is likely to form certain attitude about the product. Similarly, let us say he is exposed to another set of car, which could be Toyota. In the case of Toyota car, the firm's attribute would be a Japanese car. So Japanese car, as per him, could be affordability. When it comes to engineering, it could be dependence. The quality, the consumer may consider it as value for money. Regarding pricing, he may consider it as economical. and for comfort, the fuel efficiency may be the comfort factor for the consumer. Here again, the consumer forms certain attitude about the product. The second field of Nicosia model is a result of the attitude. That is, the message exposure of the consumer leads to the development of certain attitude towards the product, as a result of which the search and evaluation commences. Here, the alternatives are searched and evaluated by the consumer, the result of which is the formation of certain motivation. That is, this search and evaluation leads to a level of motivation within the mind of the consumer to act. The third field is a result of motivation. It represents the stage of action. It is a mental process where the motivation culminates to a certain decision which is subsequently shown in action. Here, it should be kept in mind that even not taking any action or not showing any visible decision about the product is also a decision of the consumer. The fourth field is a result of the purchasing decision. It may be positive or negative. If the purchasing decision results in the purchase of the product, we may want to call it a positive decision. A positive decision results in the consumption of the product and thus formation of certain experience. This experience becomes part of the consumer's attribute for future. On the negative side, the product may be rejected. Then the feedback may be used by the firm to improve its attributes for a future cycle. This completes the 4 fields of Nicosia model. So let us see the Nicosia model in action. We have the first field, which consists of the firm's attribute and the consumer's attribute. The message exposure from the firm is taken up by the consumer, as a result of which the consumer understands certain aspects about the same based on his own perceptions and predispositions, as a result of which he forms certain attitude about the product. This attitude leads to a search and evaluation process. This search and evaluation process, he weighs the various parameters as were exposed to him during the first field based on his own evaluation criteria, as a result of which certain amount of motivation is formed to show certain action. This action or decision is taken place in the third field, which results in showing a purchase decision. In case this purchase decision results in the purchase of a product and consumption, it leads to the experience, which is again fed back within the first field in the consumer's attribute. In case the resultant action was a non-purchase, still it is a feedback which goes back to the firm, through which the firm gets an opportunity to improve upon its attributes in the case of message exposure. With this improved message, again the message could be conveyed to the consumer so that in the subsequent cycle the result could be a purchase. Now let us have a look at the criticism to the Nicosia model. The Nicosia model is an efficient and a dynamic model, yet it is incomplete in a number of aspects. It does not specify the type of consumer that we are talking about. It further fails to specify whether any previous relationship is there of the consumer with the firm. It simply states about the consumer attributes without enlisting what all these attributes could be, as a result of which the influences and interrelationships among these consumer attributes are simply ignored. The model does not elaborate the processes in the second and the third field. There are certain questions which remains unanswered within this model. Like, is this model for a new product from a known producer? Or is there an absence of competition in the complete transaction? For more on Nicosia model, you may refer to the following books to which I had also referred while preparing this video. I hope you liked this video. I look forward to your comments on the same. For further details, please write in at anupamkr@gmail.com or anupamkr@gmail.com. Thank you.